What's going on? This your boy here, Gullah King 86, back at you with another breaking news topic, and I'm here to let you listen to Nethercast on episode 3 talk about their opinions on why Fujin should return to Mortal Kombat X.
That takes us to number 2, Fujin. Razor, why don't you start us off with Fujin?
Okay, well, we talked about him a little bit in the first episode and how we sort of all want to see some kind of response to how bad a job Raiden did in protecting his warriors in the previous game. And that, we were disappointed that, when Fujin inherited his job in MK4, there was no follow-up. He didn't show up in Deadly Alliance or Deception. He never really functioned as the protector of Earthrealm, and we'd sort of like to see him show up and sort of serve in that role again. I mean, even though it would technically be a repeat of something that happened in the old timeline, it didn't really happen, so this time it'd be nice if it did.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Fujin's another one of those characters that he had so much potential going, in MK4, he had so much potential, and a lot of people thought, beyond the fact that Raiden gave Kai his staff, that Fujin was going to be the new Raiden and the protector of Earthrealm, and Raiden was going to step down, Fujin would step up as a god, the wind god, Fujin, and he never really got his chance after that. He wasn't in Deadly Alliance, wasn't in Deception, and only came back for Armageddon, which everybody came back for, and I think out of all the characters in MK4, not counting Shinnok, but just in all the characters in MK4 that were introduced in MK4, Fujin is that number one for me that I feel he has the most potential, especially, we only saw him in MK4 and Armageddon, and the quality has increased so much in character design, character gameplay, etc. I think he would absolutely be amazing. I think he's one of those characters that, if given another chance and brought into the 2D games and reintroduced in MKX, I think he's one of those that'll instantly become a favorite, a fan favorite, in a lot of ways that a lot of the MK1 and 2 era characters were for a lot of people. I think Fujin has that potential in him, and I cannot wait to see his gameplay and his design. I'm really excited to see what happens, and I'm really excited to see what happens with his storyline, because if he really is reintroduced in this game, I think he's finally... I almost feel like if they go through the trouble of bringing him back, they're going to finally give him a role in story that they carry on into the future. I'm really hoping if he gets brought back, it's not for like a one-off or anything like that. I think he should definitely be the one to step up in Raiden's place due to Raiden's incompetence in MK9.
Raiden needs to be fired. Taking on a couple things. I'm in complete agreement with you guys. Just Fujin needs to have that exposure, that space, and I mean, apart from it being way overdue for him, for gameplay, they say a cardinal rule, basic gameplay rule in fighting games is don't jump. Learn not to jump. And
definitely
in a redesigned MK, in this new era of MK, I could really see a character like Fujin being kind of an exception to that rule. I could just picture him being like the king of aerial combat, like multiple aerial backdash and stuff like that. He has this bad reputation of being looked at as kind of like a Kung Lao Ermac hybrid, and I think that just judging by some of the things that they did with characters like Kenshi and Rain and MK9, God, I mean, they absolutely could do Fujin the justice he deserves and then some. I'm excited to see Fujin come back, not just as a replacement for Raiden, but no, I would really relish the opportunity to have some nice, solid, new, original gameplay with him. It'd be like playing a brand new character. As to whether or not he'd have a crossbow, well, that seems to be kind of a hot topic amongst certain forum members. I don't know. I never minded the crossbow.
I have a soft spot for the crossbow. I think, in the game with the variations, why not give him in one of them? So that the people don't like it, they don't necessarily have to use it.
Crossbow's in, with the whole big craze over Daryl in The Walking Dead. The crossbow is in.
You know what? Not liking the crossbow? That's a paddling.
Yeah, that's paddling. They should capitalize on that crossbow. They should.
It's amazing. I don't know why people don't like it. The crossbow's one of my favorite parts about Fujin.
I never objected to it.
Yeah, and I think people who did object to it weren't really fans of the character in the first place, you know?
I think it's a flavor thing, because he pulls out this wood and metal item that shoots green energy arrows, and none of it is wind related. But, like, my counter-argument to that would be, well, first of all, the green energy arrows, that's obviously some kind of godly power he's shooting. And second, what weapon suits a wind guy other than a projectile weapon?
A guy who can control the wind and trajectory and everything involving projectiles. It makes perfect sense to me. So, yeah.
People want to give him a tree branch like he was going to have in Armageddon, but ended up on the cutting room floor.
I think if they brought back the crossbow and they made it a little bit more realistic and serious, I feel like, I mean, think of all the possibilities like you guys were just essentially alluding to with his wind powers and that mixed with the projectiles. If they brought not a yellow, kind of bright crossbow, if they made like a more serious, realistic crossbow to go with him, whether it's green energy that he's shooting or arrows or, multiple projectiles that he could potentially shoot from it. Regardless, if they combine that with wind and, like you said, altering the path of the projectile, there is just incredible amounts of potential there. And yeah, I think for at least one variation, that's perfectly what the variation system is for. You don't like the crossbow, choose the other two that don't use it. But give us one variation with several different crossbow attacks, and you're going to make old Fujin's fans happy, and you're going to make completely new Fujin fans happy. Yeah, I think that's the right way to go.
I would even use it, I would take it further, if Fujin throws you, have him hit you with the crossbow, throw you in the air, and then shoot you out of the sky. There's so many things you can do with it, it's a solid object. You can hit people with it. That is allowed. And, like you guys were saying, gods, they can have artifacts. They can have ancient weapons. Raiden has a staff. I don't think there's anything inconsistent about that. And beyond that, I really don't have a lot to say about Fujin. He's a wind god, and that's awesome. And he looks badass, and that's awesome. I don't really know why people wouldn't like this character. If they don't, I don't really know what else to say. And he has enough fans to justify his presence in MKX. I just really hope we see him again.
Yeah, I think he's got to be in this game. I definitely, out of all the MK4 characters left, you take out your Quan Chi, you take out Shinnok. Out of all the regular MK4 characters that were introduced, Fujin has to be the top of that list. You can make an argument for Tanya or Raiko, but Fujin tops that list, I think, in a lot of people's minds. So for him not to be in this game, I think is missing out on a huge opportunity.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about the popularity of the MK4 characters. It's probably him, and then Tanya, and then Reiko. And I don't... It's a thing like, I forget which character we said it about in a previous week, that maybe it was him. That neither realm, the programmers don't seem to realize how popular these characters are, or don't seem to share the same love we have for them. And I feel like we see that more than we ought to. Like, we saw it with Rain as DLC in MK9. It seemed like they were surprised that there was a request for the only trilogy character who wasn't in the game to be in the game.
Yeah, and hell, they put his name in the clouds in Deception, did they not? In the main menu, they had Striker's name in the clouds, they had Fujin in the clouds. Now, the fact that Fujin and Striker were together, that doesn't bode well for Fujin but at that time. But, yeah,
Striker's cool now. We all saw it.
Yeah.
Everyone likes Striker now. What are you talking about? People have always loved Striker.
Yeah, of course. I was a Striker fan. I was always a Striker fan.
I liked him when he looked like Chief O'Brien.
He was the smart guy. Who wouldn't bring a gun to a fist fight? Come on.
On the same subject, I love Full House.
Cut it out.
Yeah. But my point is, why throw those little hints out there for a character if you don't like him yourself? They they gotta have some love for Fujin in there, and they gotta know that out of all the MK4 introduced characters, if they're gonna try and represent MK4, they gotta have Fujin in there. I just think he has so much potential, too much potential to be just sitting on the bench and the shelf for so damn long. So yeah, I think if they're to bring any character back that never really got, their real chance, Fujin is at the top of that list.
I just want to say crossbow X-rays. Think about it.
That would be awesome.
Painful.
Yeah, or just think using the wind to just break limbs and stuff like that, because you could do so much with that in the new engine and the new gameplay in general. Like, there's just so much you could do, just causing, like, putting extreme miles per hour of wind just concentrated on certain areas of the body could just be incredibly interesting to see. I just want to see
look at what they did with Raiden's new X-ray. The sky is literally the limit now. Like, they're turning him into Injustice.
I just want to see him take, like, wind from two different directions, one on their legs and then one on their, like, torso, and just completely fold the guy backwards in half. That would be incredible.
Probably look like a doll, Tanya style.
Yeah, God. But, moving on from Fujin, it's the old number 1.